We pride ourselves on being the most competitive environment in college football, and I think we're doing a really good job of that right now.
James had said at the beginning of spring practice that given your experience that you got last year, you should be kind of number one at the start of camp. Hearing stuff like that, does that make you feel better about the competition? How does that affect things?
I don't think it affects anything. I think every position is open. There's no starters whatsoever until West Virginia comes around. So I think everybody has that mindset. We're competing against each other, but we're doing it in the right way. We're also helping each other at the same time, and it's like that across the board at every position. So I think we're doing a really good job of, having that internal competition against each other, but we're also becoming closer as a team. So it's been going really good right now.
In what ways do you feel like you've grown or you're different than the guy who was here last spring?
I'm definitely a lot more comfortable. I think that just comes with nature, being in the offense for the second year in a row. It's definitely a lot more familiar with everything, the checks that we want to get into, all that sort of stuff. More comfortable with the run game, pass game, protections, all that. So I think everything in general has slowed down for me, just from experience and being in the offense for the second year in a row.
A lot of guys have pointed to a throw that I'm pretty sure it was you made to Keandre, one-handed catch this spring.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that? Because a lot of guys have kind of pointed out moments of that play.
Well, first off, it was a great catch.
I
I kind of tried to put it in the only place that Dre. It was either going to be Dre or nobody, just because of the situation that we were in at the time. But yeah, it was an outstanding catch by Dre. It just shows how talented he is. He's had a great spring so far, and so has that whole receiver room. So I'm really excited about the future with them and getting to the summer, finishing spring strong with them, but getting into the summer and really grinding the little details with them.
How has the work gone with your center? Obviously, you guys lose Juice, but you've had some limitations there too this spring.
It's been really good. I think every center that we've had playing so far has done a really good job. They're all super smart, which helps us out a ton. We're on the same page as them as far as run game IDs and protection IDs. So it definitely makes it a lot easier when we're dealing with super smart people in that room and a great offensive line coaching staff in that room.
A lot of the way too early predictions have you guys pegged as a playoff team, or at least a top 5 team. How do you balance that with just sort of doing your job in camp, which is kind of what James wants?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, we do a really good job of staying in the moment and staying where our feet are. I think we're a really competitive team, which is only going to help us by the time the season rolls around. But I think we're competing against each other at a super high level right now, and it's only going to help us going into the summer. Whether it be player-led 7-on-7s going against the defense, and then once we get into training camp, we start rolling along with things there, and we pick up the pace from there.
Do you feel like you've become that leader? Because when we talked in the winter, you said that you knew you had to do it. James said you knew you had to do it. Are you becoming that vocal guy, or how do you feel like you've done?
I definitely feel like I'm a little bit more vocal. Obviously, there's a lot of room for improvement across the board for everything for me. But I do feel like I'm doing a better job of being more vocal at times. I do feel like I need to step up and be more vocal at times still. But I think overall, the whole leadership as a whole is coming along really well. It might not be the same leadership as last year as far as the same type of leaders, but we could have more leaders than we did last year and more lead by example guys, and I think the whole team is doing a really good job of that right now.
Is it a challenge to become more vocal? And if so, how do you kind of overcome that?
I wouldn't say it's more challenging. It's definitely picking your moments because I'm a 19-year-old kid still, so it's definitely more of picking the right time to speak up, because honestly you have to earn your stripe around here, and I think it just comes along with playing and just doing well in practice and leading the offense to wins in practice against the defense will help me just become more of a leader vocally, and I think that's already starting to happen a little bit right now.
What can you tell us about Bo? How is he a better quarterback this spring than he was a year ago?
I think the same lines with me. He's definitely more familiar with the offense too, and we do a great job of the whole quarterback room as a whole of competing against each other each day and making each other better by helping each other out at the same time. We have a great offensive coaching staff across the board, and it helps with us being on the same page as Coach Yersich throughout the meetings. We're definitely a lot more efficient, I feel like, from our standpoint of taking the meetings to the practice field more than we did last year. So I think that's helping us a lot too.
Beyond Yersich and Bo, who do you go to bounce stuff off of to say, is this really what's going on? It doesn't have to be someone here, maybe.
You talking about
who's your confidant? Who do you go to talk to?
I think I have that inner self-belief of confidence just because I think you have to be confident at this level. You're playing against the best players each day, and you're playing with the best players each day. So you definitely have to have that self-confidence that you belong here. But I think the whole team as a whole, we've grown really close. I mean, I'm pretty close with the offensive linemen and the whole offense as a whole. But I mean, it's easy just to talk to everybody in this program, whether it's coaches, training staff, helpers around the building, and teammates. It's definitely easy to talk to everybody around here.
You said earlier that you think the defense is the best in the nation, and obviously when you play the best, you're going to get better. But is there a specific trait that you felt has especially developed by going out against and playing the defense every single practice?
I would say, like, from a mental standpoint, because they'll present a bunch of different things throughout practice, and it's really challenging just because of the players they have on every level of defense. I mean, you got our secondaries, amazing linebackers. Obviously, everybody knows how good that room is, and the D-line is it's really good D-line, and I think it just helps us as a whole offense, going against the best each day, because that's what we're going to be playing against in the season every week. So it definitely helps us right now just grow together and, fix the little things here and there that are really going to help us in the long run.
How do things work with you and CAA? What's that relationship like?
I mean, I'm represented by an agent at CAA, so they kind of handle all the NIL stuff for me. That's really how it goes. It's definitely a good relationship, though.
So how does that work? Like, they get a deal, they bring it to you?
Yeah, it's kind of like I have an email set up for NIL opportunities possibly, and they'll send that email or they'll send the offer or contract through the email. The people at CAA will negotiate back and forth for me. They'll ask for my input. They'll give me everything straight up, what their opinion is on the deal or whatever, and ultimately it's up to me. So it's definitely a really good relationship that I have with them.
How often do those conversations happen?
I mean, I talk with my agent probably at least once a week, every other week. It's not even always about NIL stuff either. It's more like kind of just getting to know me, getting to know him, catching up on him, catching up with him, just seeing how his like guys in the draft are doing, how his guys in the league are doing. So it's definitely kind of like a learning experience for me, for sure.
What's his name?
His name's Patrick Collins.
You mentioned Keandre. Who are some of those other receivers that you feel like you've started to work well with, or guys that have maybe stood out this spring?
Yeah, I would say Trey, for sure. He's an explosive receiver, super natural catcher, and he's definitely really good at using his speed and changing his speed at the top of routes and throwing defenders by. So he's been really impressive so far, and I think the younger receivers are starting to get it, especially Amari. I think Amari's starting to learn how to play that position at receiver. He's definitely using his speed a lot more than he did last spring, because I think it's just his confidence level is going up right now.
What about the new transfer, Malik McClain, kind of going off?
He's doing really good right now. He's a fast learner. Obviously, it's hard, like transitioning from one school to another, learning a whole other playbook. But I think he's doing a really good job of asking really good questions right now. And he's a physical receiver for sure. He's a big body receiver. He's not afraid to go block people and make contact with people, whether it be blocking for a screen out on the perimeter or just run game going to block a safety. So he's definitely a physical receiver. I've been really impressed with him, and he's fun to hang around.
How much of your job, we talk about leadership all the time, but how much of what you think about is just communication with guys like Malik or Trey, and who do you feel like you connect with on that level?
It's definitely the most important part of being a quarterback, especially right now, because, there's a lot of meeting time, but I think when we have player-led meetings that we all come together on a specific day for us, and we'll talk about one or two things a week for the skills positions, and I think it really helps the whole offense as a whole, just because it's coming from the players and what we see. It's like refining the little details maybe that the coaches can't get into in the meeting just because of how short the meeting times are with all the rules around that and stuff. So I think the communication level between the quarterback room, the tight end room, running backs, and receivers have been really good right now. And I think the communication between us and the O-line has always been really good here since I've been here. It's easy to talk to those guys up front. They'll come ask me questions about different fronts that the defense is throwing at us, and I'll ask them what they saw on film. So it's definitely a big part of being quarterback is just communication with every position.
Drew, how is Bo making you better, and how are you making him better?
I think just by the way we compete, we make each other a lot better. we definitely push each other in practice. We do a really good job of being there for each other too, helping each other out. So I think we're just two extremely competitive guys that are just looking to go out there and do the best we can for the team, and it's definitely a great competition.
Are you okay with this being a competition?
Yeah, no, I have no problem with it. I mean, I would hope it would be a competition across the board just because, we want to go out and play, be the best that we can be. So I think we need to have competition across the board at every position.
Is there a play this spring that you feel like you've made that you say, man, I'm most proud of this, or what are you most proud of this spring?
I would say I'm most proud of this spring of just mentally being very in tune to what the defense is doing. Where last spring I was kind of frantic just because of how everything was new to me. I think I've done a really good job with the mental part of the game. So that's what I've really been grinding on since the end of the Rose Bowl, and I think it's definitely paying dividends for me right now.
You made a little.
Last one. Go ahead.
You made a little kind of joke about, hey, you're only 19. What are the times when you feel your age in this position and on campus, and maybe with people's expectations?
I wouldn't say I really feel it at all. The only time I feel it is around the program because we got some 22-year-olds and 23-year-olds. So that's the only time I really feel it, and the coaches will crack jokes about it. But yeah, I don't really feel any of that because I'm just focused on doing the best I can and just being as good as I can for this team.
All right, thanks, Drew.
Thanks, Drew.
Thank you.